The silver fox that soared into the sky was enveloped in a ring of light. After flying into the sky, it swung its tail and suddenly released an invisible aura that swept through the sky and ground. Swoosh! 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 Hoo! 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 A breeze blew and swept in all directions. At the speed of light, the invisible aura spread to every corner of the 7 luminaries planet. Under the sweep of this aura, all humans and demons trembled for some reason. Even the half-dragonman king and the old man with the surname Yang, who had stopped fighting and were confronting each other, were shocked and wary. Success! The Heart-Moon Fox did not fail the tribulation and successfully advanced to the 6th realm, obtaining the body of a heaven devil. This massive aura that affected the entire 7 luminaries planet was the scan of a 6th realm devil king's will. A 5th realm devil king could neither achieve nor possess such an ability. The Heart-Moon Fox had successfully transcended the tribulation. The only emperor of the 7 luminaries planet had been born. I didn't expect it to really succeed. Su Jingxing looked at the silver fox in the sky and sighed. Now that the Heart-Moon Fox had successfully transcended the tribulation, his bet had also paid off. He would probably get his reward soon for saving Nian Xiaoxiao, Nian Shuang, and Nian Linger. Contrary to Su Jingxing, was Tuahai Tian. At this moment, his face was ashen and his eyes were filled with indignance. D****, D****, D****. Now that the Heart-Moon Fox had successfully transcended the tribulation, even if he activated the meteorite cannon, he wouldn't be able to destroy it. Retrieving it from the Heart-Moon Foxes was almost hopeless. At this thought, Tuahai Tian's eyes were filled with anger, hatred, indignation, and a trace of fear. Whoosh! 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 The sound of whistling wind filled the air. Streaks of light suddenly flew over from all directions. These lights arrived at Yuedang Mountain and revealed themselves when they stopped. One of them was the Flaming Tiger King. It shouted respectfully at the Heart-Moon Fox in the air, "Congratulations on advancing to the 6th realm, Fox King. Congratulations on advancing to the 6th realm, Fox King. Congratulations, Fox King." The kings of the various races spoke up and congratulated the Heart-Moon Fox in the air. Swish! Swish! In the sky, a glow flashed across the body of the Heart-Moon Fox wrapped in a halo. When the halo disappeared, a peerlessly beautiful woman in a white dress appeared. A faint glow flashed past her beautiful eyes as she swept her gaze across the sky and ground. A crisp voice that made one's heart flutter echoed. "Thank you, everyone. I've just completed my tribulation, and my clan matters have yet to be resolved. I'll hold a banquet to celebrate my advancement to the 6th realm when I return. I hope everyone can come on time. Don't worry, Fox King. I'll definitely be there on time." The Flaming Tiger King grinned. "Yes, yes. I won't go anywhere else. I'll stay in the clan and wait for the Fox King's summon. I've long been waiting for the Fox King's advancement banquet." The group of Devil Kings responded with flattery, compliments, and fawning. In the distance, the corners of Su Jingxing's lips twitched as he listened to the Devil King's replies. How practical. In the face of strong might, even 5th realm Devil Kings could not avoid humbling themselves and bowing to greater power. Of course, this did not include the green-eyed snakes, the 6-pupil hounds, and the violent blood wolves. These 3 devils were either mortal enemies with the Heart-Moon Foxes or had betrayed them. Otherwise, they had gone overboard with the massacre and capture of the Heart-Moon Foxes recently. They were almost scared out of their wits right now. The Flaming Tigers had also captured the Heart-Moon Foxes and had transactions with Tuahai Tian. However, they only killed a few of them. As long as they gave compensation afterward, they could avoid being eliminated. Unlike the green-eyed snakes, who killed and ate all those who did not surrender. It was too late to regret or fear now. Nothing needed to be said about the 6 pupil hounds, while the violent blood wolves were traitors. The fleeing teams of the 3 major devil races were all filled with fear. However, the Heart Moon Fox that had advanced to the 6th realm temporarily ignored them. With a flash, she arrived above the starship where Tuahai Taiyan was. 8th young master Tuahai, shouldn't you hand over my clansmen now? An attractive voice echoed in the air. When Tuahai Taiyan heard this, his lower abdomen shamefully heated up as he swallowed his saliva. Fortunately, he quickly snapped back to his senses. He gritted his teeth and held his breath. I don't know what you're talking about. Heh. The Heart Moon Fox chuckled. Without seeing her move, an invisible force suddenly pierced through the air and attacked Tuahai Taiyan. Pooh! Tuahai Taiyan spat out a mouthful of blood as his body swayed and fell backwards. Young master. Behind, the middle-aged man quickly took a few steps forward and grabbed Tuahai Taiyan. The audacity! The old man surnamed Yang, who was confronting the half-dragonman king, shuttled through space and returned to the starship. He stood in front of Tuahai Taiyan and glared at the Heart Moon Fox. Heart Moon Fox King, the 8th young master is Tuahai. I know who he is, where he comes from, and what his parents' names are. The Heart Moon Fox interrupted coldly, you don't have to tell me this information, nor am I in the mood to listen to you. I'm only giving you one chance now. Hand over all my clansmen. Otherwise, all of you can forget about returning to Heavenly Fate Planet. Although I won't kill the 8th young master, he can forget about standing from now on. I want to see if Tuahai Tsangcheong will start a war with me over a piece of trash. The old man remained silent. The middle-aged man and the other guards were also quiet. Tuahai Taiyan's body trembled. He opened his mouth and finally said aggrievedly, let them go. Yes, young master. The middle-aged man raised his hand and gestured to the 2 people behind him. Soon, a guard carrying a metal box arrived at the exit of the starship. Swish! Old man Yang waved his hand and opened the metal box. He controlled the cosmic bags inside to fly towards the Heart Moon Fox. All the Heart Moon Foxes are here, he said in a muffled voice. The beautiful woman drew in all the cosmic bags, opened one of them, and produced an enlarged cabin. In the square cabin lay a sleeping Heart Moon Fox. Pa thud. The square cabin shattered. The beautiful woman controlled the Heart Moon Fox to float in the air and release a wisp of aura to envelop the other party. Soon, the Heart Moon Fox woke up. You deserve to die. My king won't let. The Heart Moon Fox that had just woken up shouted. However, halfway through, it caught sight of the beautiful woman and was instantly speechless. In the next second, it shouted at the beautiful woman in surprise and anger, First Chief, why are you here? Where are the violent blood wolves? Where are they? First Chief, the violent blood wolves have betrayed us. They have killed all our sisters. They will die a horrible death. Alright, it's over. The beautiful woman interrupted gently, it's not too late to slowly take care of the violent blood wolves after. Let's go home first. With that, they returned to Yuedang Mountain. Phew! Tuahai Taiyan, the old man, the middle-aged man, and the other guards heaved a sigh of relief and relaxed. It was a blessing in disguise that the beautiful woman did not make a move. Swish! A cold glint suddenly appeared out of thin air and pierced through the starship. Swish! 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 Before Tuahai Taiyan and the others could react, another cold glint appeared, followed by a third, fourth, fifth. Countless silver beams of light instantly penetrated the huge starship, turning it into a porcupine. Other than Tuahai Taiyan, everyone else was struck. No. Boom. 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 A loud explosion erupted in the air with a scream. The huge starship turned into a fireball and shattered into pieces, compressing the space and creating ripples. Although Tuahai Taiyan did not have a beam of light penetrating his body, he was severely injured by the impact of the explosion and fell to the ground. The old man, who had been struck but did not die, was pale. He chased after Tuahai Taiyan. A second before Tuahai Taiyan landed on the ground, he grabbed him before smashing hard into the ground. As for the middle-aged man and the others, they all died with their corpses blown up. How ruthless! In the distance, Su Jingxing watched this scene and was rather wary of the Heart Moon foxes. In the next moment, his figure flashed as he approached the explosion area. However, someone was faster than him. Swoosh! The half-dragonman king streaked across the sky and rushed to Tuahai Taiyan's side. It sent the old man who wanted to protect him flying with a palm strike and roared. "Where's my sacred item? Where is the sacred item? Where is the sacred item?" The half-dragonman king lifted Tuahai Taiyan and snarled with its face almost touching his. Pooh! Tuahai Taiyan opened his mouth and spat out a large mouthful of blood on the half-dragonman king's face. As if he didn't feel anything, the half-dragonman king continued to shake Tuahai Taiyan and roared, "Speak! Where's my sacred item? Where are you hiding it? Where exactly is it?" Pooh! Tuahai Taiyan spat out another mouthful of blood. Then, his head tilted to the side and he fainted. Ah! The half-dragonman king roared and grabbed Tuahai Taiyan's collar, throwing him harshly to the ground. The old man surnamed Yang couldn't stop him in time even if he wanted to. He could only watch helplessly. Then, he sensed Tuahai Taiyan's aura and confirmed that he was only unconscious and not dead. Only then did he heave a sigh of relief and relax. The half-dragonman king continued to go berserk, snarling and yelling angrily. The old man ignored it. It was useless to say anything to such a crazy person. Instead of angering it and bringing more harm to Tuahai Taiyan, it was better to let it vent. At the same time. Swoosh! In the air above Tuahai Taiyan, the old man, and the others, Su Jingxing quickly flashed past and extracted more than 100 cards. After obtaining the cards, he immediately turned around and flew towards Yuedang Mountain. At this moment, on the rolling peaks of the Yuedang Mountain range, cheers could be heard everywhere. Successfully transcending the tribulation and stepping into the sixth realm. From now on, the Heart Moon foxes no longer had to fear any devils. After the Flaming Tiger King and the other Devil Kings delivered their congratulations, they all left. Su Jingxing flew towards the centermost mountain peak, immediately attracting the attention of the Heart Moon foxes. Before Su Jingxing could land on the mountain, more than 10 Heart Moon foxes in half-human and half-devil forms flew into the air and blocked his way. "This is the holy land of the Heart Moon foxes. Who are you? What is your motive for coming here?" An old Heart Moon fox with 2 tails looked at Su Jingxing warily and asked in a deep voice. "Seventh chief, he seems to be a human." Behind the old man, a middle-aged man with fox ears spoke softly. "Human race. That seems to be the case. He is indeed human. Most importantly, who is he? He can't be from the Tuahai family, can he?" The other Heart Moon foxes sized up Su Jingxing and began discussing in low voices. "Shut up!" the old man shouted in a low voice. All the Heart Moon foxes instantly went silent and did not dare to speak again. Cough. Seeing this, Su Jingxing coughed lightly. Without another word, he took out his cosmic bags and opened 3 of them. Pada. 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 Bang! 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 3 square cabins appeared in the air. Su Jingxing released his spiritual essence to control them. Then, he broke the seals one by one, waking Nian Shuang, Nian Linger, and Nian Xiaoxiao up. Throughout the entire process, the 2-tailed old man and the other Heart Moon foxes watched with wide eyes and shocked expressions. This. Where am I? Nian Linger yawned and sat up, rubbing her eyes. This is Yuedang Mountain. Nian Xiaoxiao looked down at the ground before looking around. Then, her gaze landed on the two-tailed old man and the other Heart Moon foxes. She paused for a moment before exclaiming in surprise, "Seventh Chief, why are you guys here?" Nian Xiaoxiao. A middle-aged man with fox ears recognized Nian Xiaoxiao and asked curiously, "Nian Xiaoxiao, what's going on? Why are you in the cosmic bag?" "That's Brother Kong Xian. He got us to stay in the cosmic bags for the time being to make it convenient to move around," Nian Linger explained. "Brother Kong Xian." The old man with two tails looked at her and swept his gaze around. He asked strangely, "You are from the Heart Moon Fox race? You are one of us?" "That's right. Sister and I are both Heart Moon Fox half-devils." Nian Linger nodded. Then, she pointed at Su Jingxing and introduced, "He is Brother Kong Xian. Without him, we would have long died under the claws of the violent blood wolves." "That's right, Seventh Chief. It was this human, Kong Xian, who saved me." Nian Xiaoxiao chimed in from the side. "He's a human spiritual martial artist and is very powerful. He can kill a third-realm devil general with 3 palm strikes." Hearing this, the eyes of the two-tailed old man flashed, and the vigilance on his face disappeared. He bowed respectfully to Su Jingxing and thanked him. "Thank you for your help, Kong Xian." The middle-aged man with fox ears and the other Heart Moon foxes also bowed. "You're welcome. I was just doing it in passing." Su Jingxing chuckled and released all the Heart Moon foxes he had plundered and saved from their cosmic bags. In an instant, more than 100 injured or intact Heart Moon foxes appeared in the air. On the mountains on the ground, many Heart Moon foxes rushed into the sky and surrounded them to ask about the situation. Nian Linger and Nian Xiaoxiao introduced Su Jingxing's background and the help he had given them again. Be it the two-tailed old man or the Heart Moon foxes that had just flown into the air, they were all pleasantly surprised and grateful. Even Nian Xiaoxiao, Nian Linger, and Nian Shuang were surprised. The three of them were the first to enter the cosmic bags, so they were unaware of the Heart Moon foxes that Su Jingxing had subsequently rescued along the way. Now that more than 100 Heart Moon foxes were released, how could they not understand that Su Jingxing had put in a lot of effort along the way? Even if Su Jingxing wasn't weak and could easily kill a third-realm devil general. On the 7 luminaries planet, third-realm devil generals were not the strongest. There were still 4th realm and 5th realm devil generals. Su Jingxing had undoubtedly taken a lot of risk to save the Heart Moon foxes from the subordinates of the 4th realm and 5th realm devils. This time, Tuahai Taiyan's target was the Heart Moon foxes. It was already good enough that the other devils on the 7 luminaries planet did not add insult to injury. It could be said Su Jingxing was the only person who had stepped in to save them like this. A great benefactor. Kong Xian, we, the Heart Moon foxes, will always remember your kindness. The true king of the Heart Moon foxes, an extremely handsome middle-aged man named Feng Xian, thanked Su Jingxing sincerely. Don't worry, we'll have the planet location device brought over immediately. Apart from that, we also prepared a gift. I hope you won't decline. As we can't move this gift, we can only ask you to come with us. All right. Su Jingxing pondered for a moment and nodded in agreement. Since the Heart Moon foxes were willing to repay the favor, Su Jingxing had nothing to be pretentious about. Saving the Heart Moon foxes on his way was Su Jingxing's bet to begin with. He was betting on the failure of Tuahai Taiyan's scheme and the Heart Moon foxes successfully overcoming the crisis. Now that Su Jingxing had succeeded, it was naturally time to reap the rewards. The planet location device was only one of them. A friendship with the Heart Moon foxes who had a 6th realm devil king amongst them was second. The mysterious gift was third. It would be a waste not to take these 3. Fox King, I heard from Nian Xiaoxiao that Nian Linger and Nian Shuang might be the descendants of Feng Jian, the leader of the 6th lineage. After agreeing, Su Jingxing stopped being polite and pulled Nian Shuang and Nian Linger out. They had temporarily forgotten to verify their identities because of their excitement. He said directly, "Can you get Feng Jian to come over and verify their identities?" "There's such a thing." The Heart Moon Fox King, Feng Xian, was surprised when he heard this. Then, he nodded and smiled at Nian Linger and Nian Shuang. "Don't worry, Feng Jian is still alive. We'll go over now and verify it with him." "Thank you, King." Nian Linger hurriedly thanked him happily. "Thank you, Brother Kong Xian." She had not forgotten Su Jingxing's care along the way. Su Jingxing nodded and said nothing. "Let's go." With a wave of his hand, Feng Xian flew towards the mountain peak of the sixth lineage with a few leaders of Heart Moon Foxes, Su Jingxing, Nian Linger, and Nian Shuang. Nian Xiaoxiao and the other Heart Moon Foxes were arranged by the two-tailed old man to be sent for treatment. On the way, Nian Shuang shared their background with Feng Xian. Feng Xian and the Heart Moon Foxes thanked Su Jingxing again after listening to her. He had opened a teleportation passageway from another planet and sent Nian Shuang and Nian Linger back to the Seven Luminaries planet. Su Jingxing had given too much. If not for the fact that Su Jingxing didn't seem to have any ambiguous feelings for Nian Shuang and Nian Linger, Feng Xian and the other Heart Moon Foxes would have thought that Su Jingxing had taken a fancy to the sisters. The Heart Moon Foxes were different from other devils. They did not stop the union with humans. Instead, they were happy to cooperate. Su Jingxing was not the only human on Yuedang Mountain. There were also many human sons-in-law and daughter-in-laws who had been living there. If Su Jingxing also became the son-in-law of the Heart Moon Foxes, Feng Xian and the others would be overjoyed. Unfortunately, Su Jingxing treated Nian Shuang and Nian Linger normally. On the other hand, Nian Linger seemed quite close to Su Jingxing. If. Cough cough. Feng Xian coughed lightly to himself and smiled. Nian Linger and Nian Shuang shared their background. On the way, Feng Xian also informed them and Su Jingxing about the situation of the Heart Moon Foxes. Firstly, the Heart Moon Foxes were generally powerful. If it weren't for the fact that this accident had happened too quickly, the Heart Moon Foxes that were scattered outside wouldn't have suffered so many casualties. Secondly, there were a total of 4 Heart Moon Foxes who had reached the 5th realm. Although Feng Xian was the king, its strength was only second among the 4 devils. The number 1 expert of the Heart Moon Foxes was Nian Gur. The beautiful woman who had undergone the lightning tribulation and transformed into human form. Nian Gur was now the only 6th realm existence on the 7 Luminaries planet. Before this, Chief was the address for the leaders of the various lineages by the Heart Moon Foxes. The lineages decided the number attached to their titles. For example, Nian Shuang and Nian Linger's great-grandfather, Feng Jian, was the 6th chief. The old man with 2 tails was called the 7th chief because he came from the 7th lineage. However, from today onwards, Nian Gur's title as first chief was thoroughly confirmed. Flying in the air. Su Jingxing, Feng Xian, and the other Heart Moon Foxes chatted happily. They only ended the discussion when they arrived at the mountain peak where the 6th lineage was located. "Elder Jian, get out here. Look who's back." Feng Xian shouted as soon as he landed on the mountain. "Coming, coming." An old voice came from the back mountain. "King Xian, why are you here instead of guarding the entrance?" "I was about to follow little Gur to settle scores with the violent blood wolves." A hunchbacked old man slowly flew over from the back mountain and landed in front of Feng Xian. The old man's face was covered in wrinkles, and his body was covered in the aura of time. Compared to Feng Xian and Nian Gur, he was clearly a much older fox. A true old fox. "Elder Jian, can you stop teasing me?" Feng Xian first looked at Su Jingxing awkwardly. Nian Shuang and Nian Linger smiled. Then, they looked at the old man who was walking over and said speechlessly, now that little Gur has successfully transcended the tribulation, we will naturally settle the scores with the violent blood wolves. However, before that, you have to take care of one thing first. The violent blood wolves are there. They can't escape. Oh, what is it? The old man slowly sized up Su Jingxing. Is it because of this human? It's related to Kong Xian. Feng Xian pulled over the excited and nervous Nian Shuang and Nian Linger. He pointed at the sisters and introduced, "Let me introduce to you. These two are clansmen who have just returned from another planet. Their grandfather is called Feng Xiang." "Oh, Feng Xiang. What did you say?" The hunchbacked old man suddenly straightened up. His eyes shone as he stared fixedly at Nian Shuang and Nian Linger. What's your grandfather's name?" "Feng Xiang." Nian Shuang took a deep breath and began through gritted teeth. "Our grandfather's name was Feng Xiang. He passed away very early, but he left behind some things and told us that he came from the Heart Moon Foxes of the Seven Luminaries planet. Here. Nian Linger took out a cloth bag, opened it, and took out 3 items. A cosmic bag. Su Jingxing had never sensed that Nian Linger had been carrying it with her. "I wonder how big the space inside is." There, San Rs1. Feng Jian took the items with trembling hands and looked at them one by one. His eyes were already filled with tears. "Elder Jian, I'm sorry for your loss." Feng Xian comforted him from the side. "Feng Xiang has left, but didn't he leave the 2 sisters behind?" Yes, I still have them." The old man put away the items and waved his hands, releasing 2 light barriers that enveloped Nian Shuang and Nian Linger. "Don't resist. Relax," Feng Xian quickly instructed. Nian Shuang and Nian Linger listened and did not resist. Soon, the old man put away the light barrier and hugged the 2 girls. He shouted happily in tears, "My good grandchildren, it's been hard on you. Great-grandfather. Great-grandpa." Nian Linger also cried tears of joy, while Nian Shuang replied stiffly. Verification passed, identity confirmed. With this, Nian Shuang and Nian Linger's backer was secured. From the conversation between Feng Jian and Feng Xian, Su Jingxing could tell that the Heart Moon Foxes were different from other devils. The other devils revered the strong and were bloodthirsty and violent. They were never particular about seniority. Those who were powerful would take high positions. Those who were old and useless would be abandoned. However, the Heart Moon Foxes were like human families. They paid attention to respecting the old and loving the young. The higher their seniority, the higher their status. Feng Xian, the Fox King, was more of a butler. The joyful reunion ended. Feng Jian also thanked Su Jingxing profusely for saving them many times. "Brother Kong, I don't have great capabilities, but if you have any requests, as long as I can do it, I will definitely do it even if I have to risk my life." Feng Jian faced Su Jingxing and bowed sincerely. "Elder Jian, you're being too serious." Su Jingxing raised his hand and said softly, "Saving Nian Linger and the others was really something done in passing. It's something that was in passing for you, but to the sisters, it's a life-saving favor," said Feng Jian seriously. "So, Brother Kong, you should make a request so that I can have a chance to repay you. The thanks from the clan has nothing to do with me." "Well." Seeing this, Su Jingxing's eyes flashed. He suggested, "How about this? Didn't you just say that you wanted to set off with the first elder to settle scores with the violent blood wolves? Can I come with you?" "Of course." Without thinking, Feng Jian blurted out, "We can't be more thankful that Brother Kong is willing to continue helping us out. I just want to come along and see the peerless grace of the first chief," Su Jingxing explained with a smile. We understand." Feng Xian shot an ambiguous smile at Su Jingxing. The first chief's charm is indeed attractive. It's not just our race. Many of the divine race, the devil race, the heavenly race, the spirit race, and even your human race have all been charmed by her. Kong Xian, you're not the only exception. Ha ha ha. The other Heart Moon foxes also laughed out loud. Su Jingxing opened his mouth and realized that these foxes had misunderstood. He was speechless, but he knew better than to explain and maintained his silly smile. Charmed by Nian Gur. Indeed, Nian Gur was beautiful. She could be said to be the most beautiful woman Su Jingxing had ever seen. Of course, it was after transformation. In the Heart Moon Fox state, even though her temperament was also unparalleled, Su Jingxing was not some pervert. After the Heart Moon Foxes transformed into humans, they married many humans. This was also the reason why there were so many half-devils. After some devils transformed, be it their temperament or inner nature, they far exceeded human women. However, Su Jingxing had no such interest. The reason why he wanted to follow Feng Jian to watch Nian Gu fight the green-eyed snakes, the six-pupil hounds, and the violent blood wolves was to extract cards. There were also hundreds of thousands of green-eyed snakes, six-pupil hounds, and violent blood wolves. Even if the Heart Moon foxes only killed a tenth of them, it would be a huge gain for Su Jingxing. Putting the black body cards aside, the essence origin cards and soul separation cards were enough for Su Jingxing to make a killing. For this reason, even if Feng Jian didn't agree, Su Jingxing would find a way to tag along. Now that Feng Jian and the other foxes had misunderstood, that was for the best. It would save Su Jingxing the trouble of finding other excuses. Obsessed with Nian Gur, so be it. No big deal. The expedition soon began. Under Feng Jian's lead, Nian Shuang and Nian Linger remained on the mountain peak of the sixth lineage to be taken care of by the other Heart Moon foxes. Su Jingxing followed Feng Jian to meet up with the Heart Moon foxes of the other lineages to follow Nian Gur to the territory of the green-eyed snakes, the six-pupil hounds, and the violent blood wolves. For this expedition, the Heart Moon fox race had sent out 100,000 warriors. Apart from Feng Xian and the chiefs of the second, third, and seventh lineages who stayed behind to guard the home on Yuedang Mountain, most of the elites from the other lineages set off with Nian Gur. When the 100,000 warriors left Yuedang Mountain, they directly rode the clouds to fight. Cloud riding was a divine power. However, when Su Jingxing followed most of them up into the clouds, he did not discover any traces of divine powers. Instead, Feng Jian and the other Fourth Realm Great Devil Generals had executed secret arts to form them. The speed was very fast. In less than half an hour, they arrived at the territory of the green-eyed snakes. In a boundless forest. The tall rainforest was humid and miasma could be seen everywhere. The scene of Nian Gur attacking had completely suppressed the moisture, miasma, and poisonous gas. In the headquarters of the green-eyed snakes, tens of thousands of devil snakes roared and soared into the sky. However, under the envelopment of the power of the universe controlled by Nian Gur, most of them were killed on the spot. The remaining ones fled in panic, including the Snake King, who was the fastest. A fifth realm Devil King knew best how powerful a sixth realm was. Originally, the rainforest was the main battlefield of the green-eyed snakes. Other devils who stepped in would be subjected to all kinds of restrictions. However, this restriction was useless against Nian Gur now. Those who stayed behind would die. There was no other way. Therefore, the green-eyed Snake King escaped. However, after running for only a dozen miles or so, before it even left the rainforest, Nian Gur caught up to it and killed it in 3 moves. Su Jingxing followed behind and extracted cards. He was secretly speechless at the might of the sixth realm. After refining the Red Dragon's reverse scale, Su Jingxing was even more confident and unafraid of fifth realm Devil Kings. However, after seeing Nian Gur attack, he realized that the power of the sixth realm would not even give one a chance to release the heavenly might of a true dragon. First was the fast speed. Secondly, attacking from a distance. There was no time to dodge or any way to do so. Although the Red Dragon's reverse scale was known to be indestructible, no one knew how terrifying the power of the Sixth Realm was until they suffered it. Therefore, he had to continue down the path to becoming stronger. The seventh class of the Essence Opening Realm was still not enough. In less than half an hour, the headquarters of the Green-Eyed Snakes had been destroyed. They were either dead or had escaped. The Heart Moon Fox army quickly moved to the territory of the Six Pupil Hounds. This isn't right. As soon as they arrived above the territory of the Six Pupil Hounds, Feng Jian narrowed his eyes and said in a low voice, "Something is wrong down there. The devilish energy is too thin." "There aren't many hound devils," the chief of the 8th lineage agreed. "Not good." The chief of the 9th lineage rushed to the ground in a flash. A moment later, it returned to the air and looked at Nian Guo with an ugly expression. "There are no hound devils below. All the hounds have escaped." "Yes, caped." When Feng Jian, the chief of the 8th lineage, and the other Heart Moon Foxes heard this news, they were all stunned and their eyes were wide. Su Jingxing was also surprised, but after some thought, he understood the reason. The Six Pupil Hound Devils and the Heart Moon Foxes were mortal enemies. They were most familiar with the style of the Heart Moon Foxes. After Nian Guo successfully transcended the tribulation and became a Sixth Realm expert, they would definitely come to take revenge on the Hound Devils. The Six Pupil Hounds naturally wouldn't foolishly wait in their territory for the Heart Moon Foxes to come and slaughter them. Immediately, they dispersed and ran elsewhere. The Seven Luminaries planet was huge. It would take hundreds of years for the Heart Moon Foxes to find them one by one. This plan could be said to be quite brilliant. Although it was a pity that Su Jingxing didn't have any cards to extract, he still admired the Six Pupil Hound King. "What should we do now that the Six Pupil Hound Devils have escaped? Should we split up and find these stars?" A commotion broke out in the air. All the Heart Moon Foxes discussed animatedly and looked at Nian Guo. "Let's go to the Violent Blood Wolves' territory first," said Nian Guo calmly, her face expressionless. That's right. We ought to hurry to the Violent Blood Wolves' territory. It will be troublesome if they have escaped too," Feng Jian quickly agreed. "That's right, we can't let the Violent Blood Wolves escape too." The other Heart Moon Foxes came back to their senses and set off again in anger. They rushed to the territory of the Violent Blood Wolves. This time, they rode the clouds even faster. Whoosh! 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 Following the group, Su Jingxing oddly had a strange premonition. That this would be another trip made in vain. As expected, after arriving at the territory of the Violent Blood Wolves, not a single wolf was seen. All the Violent Blood Wolves had abandoned their headquarters, dispersed and disappeared like the Six Pupil Hound Devils. For a time, the Heart Moon Foxes that had rushed over were dumbfounded. The 100,000 foxes were silent as they looked at Nian Guo. "They're still on the Seven Luminaries planet," said Nian Guo calmly. "Let's return to the sect and contact the Heavenly Secrets race. With their help, none of the Six Pupil Hounds and Violent Blood Wolves will escape." "All right. Yes, get the Heavenly Secrets race to help us divine. These stars will soon be found." How can the Heart Moon Foxes be devils who give up so easily? I wonder if the Heavenly Secrets race would be willing to help. As long as the price is high enough, the Heavenly Secrets race will still take action. The Heart Moon Foxes discussed animatedly, their morale high again. Su Jingxing listened without saying anything. When all the Heart Moon Foxes were on their way back to the mountain, he then moved to Feng Jian's side and sent mental voice transmissions. "Elder Jian, what's the situation with the Heavenly Secrets race?" The Heavenly Secrets race is one of the most mysterious races in the world. They can divine the world, know the universe, and even deduce the future. Feng Jian also sent a mental voice transmission inside. "Although we made it sound so simple just now, that we can get the Heavenly Secrets race to help us just by paying a certain price. In reality, the race has a very small population. It's rumored that there are less than 100 of them. Every one of them is extremely mysterious. We don't know where they are. As long as they don't say anything, even if they stand in front of us, we won't know that they are from the Heavenly Secrets race. The first chief mentioned getting the Heavenly Secrets race to help because she didn't want to affect morale. The Heart Moon Foxes have suffered a calamity this time, and morale cannot be low. Although the first chief has reached the 6th realm, the people below still won't become confident so quickly. It's fine for the green-eyed snakes. More than half of them have been wiped out, and the remaining ones almost don't dare to appear again. However, the 6 pupil hounds and violent blood wolves have escaped. Without a doubt, they will become a thorn in the heart of the Heart Moon Foxes. They won't be willing to be defeated so easily and will hide in the dark and ambush us from time to time. Understood. Su Jingxing nodded in understanding. In that case, we really have to find the leaders of the 6 pupil hound devils and the violent blood wolves and kill them in public. That's true, but where can we find the Heavenly Secrets race? Feng Jian sighed. Even if we are willing to offer benefits, we don't know where to find them. Well, we might not necessarily need the Heaven Secrets race, do we? Su Jingxing thought for a moment and said, I remember that through the deduction of the Heavenly Secret Arts, you can also find the target you want and approximate its location. That's indeed a solution. I just thought of it too. Feng Jian nodded. However, there aren't many people who cultivate Heavenly Secret Arts. It will take some effort to find them as well. Of course, most importantly, the deduction of Heavenly Secret Arts is not as good as the divination of the Heavenly Secrets race. The higher the realm of the 6 pupil hound devils and violent blood wolves, the stronger their blocking of the Heavenly Secrets. Ordinary Heavenly Secret Arts won't be able to find them. Only the members of the Heavenly Secrets race can ensure complete success. Can't we just do both at the same time? Su Jingxing suggested. That's the only way. Feng Jian sighed. Then, the two of them stopped communicating. Su Jingxing did not reveal that he also mastered Heavenly Secret Arts. Feng Jian had also mentioned that ordinary Heavenly Secret Arts were not enough. Su Jingxing tried to circulate the 6 comets records to deduce the whereabouts of the violent Blood Wolf King. As expected, there was no reaction. The Heavenly Secrets were in chaos. Since that was the case, he would rather not say anything. If the Heart Moon Foxes wanted revenge and found the violent Blood Wolf King and the 6 pupil hound king, they would really have to seek the help of the Heavenly Secrets race. Endless space. In a remote and quiet corner. On the huge human head, star. In the dense hair forest, a black shadow rushed out at high speed towards a black eye socket. Reporting to Master, the unknown star field where the air beast died was concealed by a force. We can't find it. A hoarse, sharp, and trembling voice sounded in the socket. Silence. The entire socket was dark and silent. The curled-up black shadow trembled slightly. All of a sudden. Boom! A ball of blue flames suddenly emerged from the black shadow's body and ignited it. Before the black shadow could scream, it turned into nothing. Blocked? Heh, interesting. Yuedang Mountain. The large team that went out to fight made a round and began to celebrate when they returned. Although most of the Heart Moon Fox warriors had barely made a move, it did not stop them from cheering happily. After killing most of the green-eyed snakes, the death of the Snake King and the other 3rd realm and 4th realm devil generals no longer mattered. The 6 pupil hound devils and violent blood wolves had escaped. They were a threat, but with the help of the Heavenly Secrets race, they would soon be found and destroyed. With these 3 incidents, which devil on the 7 luminaries planet would dare to go against the Heart Moon Foxes? From now on, the Heart Moon Foxes would be the uncrowned kings of the 7 luminaries planet. Therefore, they had to celebrate and cheer. As the benefactor who helped the Heart Moon Foxes, Su Jingxing naturally attended the banquet and was welcomed by all the Heart Moon Foxes. Although the Heart Moon Foxes were devils and many of them had yet to transform, the banquet was similar to a human wedding banquet. There was no scene of them eating raw meat or drinking blood. All the food had been cooked. Only when they were absolutely fragrant were they brought to the dining table. There were even more vegetables and fruits that contained energy. To be honest, if it weren't for the fact that half of the guests were foxes, Su Jingxing would have thought that they were on Earth Star attending the celebratory feasts of some large companies. It was way too humane. Of course, other than the fox that had yet to transform, the Heart Moon Foxes, and the half-devils, there were also many humans at the banquet. These men and women all had very high aura fluctuations. They were either in the Cloud Ascension realm or the Soul Platform realm. And they were also very good-looking. None of them were ugly. Except for one, who was short and fat. "Brother, where are you from?" This fat brother named Han Chao leaned close to Su Jingxing. He was holding a tray filled with all kinds of roasted meat. As he ate, he asked curiously. "Sai, speaking of which, I haven't been home for a long time either. I've been here for almost 10 years. Ever since I came here, everything else has been fine. The only thing is that I get homesick easily every time the moon is full. Of course, my wife is great. She and I are very loving, but in other aspects. Brother, you don't know, it's not easy to be a matrilocal son-in-law. I, Han Chao, was also a genius and an outstanding representative where I came from. But here, other than my wife, everyone else thinks nothing of me. If not for my wife, I wouldn't have been able to stay here any longer. Brother, you have to be careful. Don't get into a conflict with your father-in-law. If you do, you have to admit your mistake immediately. Otherwise. Hubby, you're here." An enchanting voice sounded. Before the fatty could finish his sentence, he immediately shut up. Then, he squeezed out a smile and looked behind. Su Jingxing looked over and saw a charming beauty transformed from a fox looking over with a smile. "Honey, I was just looking for you." Han Chao held the tray and greeted her with a smile. "Hubby, I was looking for you too." The beauty hugged Han Chao's head seductively and the two of them walked away sweetly. The beauty was a head taller than Han Chao, while the latter only reached her chest. Therefore, that scene was very beautiful. "How is it? Are you envious?" A gentle voice sounded. Su Jingxing didn't need to turn around to know who it was. The Heart Moon Fox King, Feng Xian. Feng Xian, who was dressed like a handsome uncle, held his wine glass and slowly walked to Su Jingxing's side. He looked at the men and women dancing on the dance floor and chuckled. "Kong Xian, you probably didn't expect this, right? The Heart Moon Fox's banquet is almost the same as the human race's." "I really didn't expect this." Su Jingxing nodded but didn't respond to Feng Xian's question about being envious. What was there to be envious about marrying a vixen half-devil? However, Su Jingxing sensed a different aura fluctuation from the plump Han Chao. Clearly, Han Chao's identity was not ordinary either. He was either a transcendent body or a bloodline martial artist. The Heart Moon Foxes have been on good terms with the human race from the very beginning. We learned these etiquettes from the human race. Therefore, if you have your eyes on any lady from our race, you don't have to worry about feeling unaccustomed after marriage. Such human etiquette and way of interaction are almost exactly the same as those of humans. Feng Xian changed the topic. Su Jingxing knew that he couldn't delay any longer. He laughed dryly and said, "Thank you for the reminder, Fox King. If I really set my eyes on any lady who also likes me, I will definitely propose to the Fox King." "All right. I'll be waiting." Feng Xian laughed out loud. It wasn't that he had nothing better to do and insisted on getting Su Jingxing to have a relationship with a female Heart Moon Fox. Human spiritual martial arts had too much potential and were also powerful. If he could use one, no, even 2, 3, or 4 female foxes to tie Su Jingxing to the Heart Moon foxes, Feng Xian wouldn't blink and would agree on the spot. Of course, as the Heart Moon Fox King, it was not appropriate for Feng Xian to mention such matters too much. After a few times, he did not continue and changed the topic. Young friend, the gift I promised you will take a few more days. It's fine, I'm not in a hurry, Su Jingxing replied calmly. It's really because this gift requires the cooperation of the right time. Feng Xian explained with a smile, you might be very curious. What is it that is so troublesome to bring out? Without waiting for Su Jingxing to speak, Feng Xian continued, it is because the gift we prepared is in an independent space. We will call it the soul refining space. This soul refining space is located in an abyss in the center of Yuedang Mountain. It's very magical. I don't know how long it has existed. In any case, it already existed when our ancestors found it. However, opening the soul refining space requires external forces, the holy moon radiance. That's right. Simply put, moonlight. The soul refining space needs to absorb moonlight to open. Every time it opens, it can sustain for about 3 days. The absorption of moonlight takes a year. In other words, one can only enter the soul refining space once a year. Each time, one can only stay inside for 3 days. However, these 3 days alone can bring great benefits to the various life races. My friend, you've probably guessed it. Soul refining, soul refining. This space can temper the soul, consciousness, or comprehend concepts, comprehend the universe, and gain enlightenment. Any life form with a soul can benefit from it. The stronger one is, the greater the benefits. Be it 5th realm or 6th realm. The same goes for you humans. The primordial spirit of the divine martial arts system and the divine consciousness of the spiritual martial arts system can be quickly condensed and born using the soul refining space. In other words, the gift the Fox King prepared for me is for me to enter the soul refining space, asked Su Jingxing, his eyes bright. That's right. Feng Xian nodded. There is a limit to the number of people who can enter the soul refining space each time, at most, 8. The Heart Moon Foxes have a total of 9 lineages. Every lineage has to take turns to enter. Alright. This gift is indeed rare. Each time the space opened, at least one of the 9 lineages of the heart would not get to enter. This time, with Su Jingxing cutting the queue, 2 lineages would miss out. Condensing divine consciousness and producing a primordial spirit. Su Jingxing would be a fool to refuse such a benefit. Therefore, he did not hypocritically refuse either. The Heart Moon Foxes were willing to give him such a chance not out of mercy, but as repayment for saving more than 100 Heart Moon Foxes. This was a thank you gift. It would be a waste not to take it. It would still take about a month to the opening of the soul refining space. Feng Xian told Su Jingxing that during this period of time, he could roam around Yuedang Mountain as he wished. As for any place further, it was best not to go. Before most of the 6 pupil hound devils and violent blood wolves were eliminated, it was not safe outside. Su Jingxing naturally had no objections. When he previously followed Nian Guo out and killed tens of thousands of green-eyed snakes, Su Jingxing had yet to read and summarize the cards he had extracted. With this free time, he immediately took out cards, read the information, and sorted them out. Essence Origin Card, Essence Origin Card, Essence Origin Card, Soul Separation Card, Soul Separation Card, Essence Origin Card. After reading all the cards, he obtained 25,912 Essence Origin Cards, 16,301 Soul Separation Cards, and 43 Black Body Cards. As well as 32 Skill Cards and 1 Equipment Card. The Skill Card contained an ability called the Gaze of Fear. Unlocking the card and using it on the target would cause the target to feel fear for no reason. Moreover, this fear would constantly be amplified. If it was not stopped, restrained, or eliminated in time, it could ultimately scare the target to death. Scared oneself to death. 32 cards, 32 chances. With so many chances, it looked good. However, after Su Jingxing read the card and comprehended this skill, he suddenly received a message. The information hidden in the card would not be triggered unless completely comprehended. This message was that if he gathered 100 of the same skill cards and unlocked them all at once, he would be able to obtain a divine power. The Eyes of Panic. As the name suggested, once this divine power was released, one could scare another person to death just with a look. The last piece of information also informed Su Jingxing that if he could obtain the Pearl of Fear, that pearl could replace 50 skill cards containing the Gaze of Fear. He needed both the Gaze of Fear skill cards and the Pearl of Fear. It wasn't that 2 pearls of fear could give one the divine power, the Eyes of Panic. The key prerequisite to obtaining the divine power was the ability, the Gaze of Fear. This innate ability was possessed by the green-eyed snakes. Fortunately, Su Jingxing happened to have a Pearl of Fear. After unlocking the equipment card extracted from the corpse of the green-eyed snake king in the 5th realm, he obtained the Pearl of Fear. Therefore, Su Jingxing already had 82 of the 100 skill cards required for the divine power. He already had 32 cards. 1 Pearl of Fear replaced 50 cards. He was still short of 18. These 18 cards could be said to be simple or difficult to obtain. This was because the 32 skill cards he already had were obtained from among tens of thousands of cards. The probability of striking one was too low, about 1 in 1,000. In other words, Su Jingxing could only obtain a skill card that contained the Gaze of Fear after killing 1,000 green-eyed snakes. To gather 18 of them, he would have to kill at least 20,000 green-eyed snakes. Where could he find so many green-eyed snakes? Su Jingxing sighed. The green-eyed snake devil's headquarters had been wiped out by Nian Gur. Only the heavens knew where the remaining green-eyed snakes were hiding. It would take a long time to find them, let alone kill them. Of course, compared to the divine power, the Eyes of Panic, it was worth it no matter how long it took. With this in mind, Su Jingxing suppressed the frustration in his heart and took deep breaths to calm himself down. After regaining his composure, he put away all the cards. He took out the black body card and unlocked it to temper his spiritual martial body. Since he could condense his divine consciousness faster in the soul refining space, Su Jingxing had to advance his realm to the bottleneck before entering it. In other words, advance to the 9th class of the essence opening realm. With more than 500 black body cards in reserve, it was not difficult at all. However, the final outcome was a little unexpected. To go from the 7th class to the 8th class, Su Jingxing unlocked a total of 120 black body cards. From the 8th class to the 9th class, Su Jingxing unlocked 360 black body cards. More than 500 cards were used up at once. Compared to before, he had used way too many. Fortunately, he was well prepared and did not give up halfway. In the 9th class of the essence opening realm, the strength of Su Jingxing's spiritual martial body was also much stronger than before. The next step was to condense his divine consciousness and transform his martial art true intent into Dharma characteristic. At this step, the transformation of the physical body was no longer important. What was important was the transformation of the soul. In the divine martial arts system, the moment the essence soul completely turned into a primordial spirit, it would automatically possess divine consciousness. However, in the spiritual martial arts system, divine consciousness required willpower, soul, faith, and so on to control the evolution of martial art true intent to be condensed and born. As a result, the divine consciousness of a spiritual martial artist was much stronger than that of a divine martial artist. Be it in terms of coverage or scanning depth, divine consciousness of spiritual martial arts was stronger. The soul refining space could allow one to condense their divine consciousness faster. This opportunity was too rare. Su Jingxing had to give it a try no matter what. He had to complete it for both divine martial arts and spiritual martial arts at the same time. In other words, the essence soul would become the primordial spirit. His physical body would condense a dharma characteristic. Currently, Su Jingxing's essence soul was still in the 8th class. Fortunately, he had obtained as many as 16,301 soul separation cards this time. After unlocking them, he would get at least 50,000 spirit gathering pills. If the essence soul swallows them, it would probably be enough for it to advance to the soul formation realm. The soul formation realm was different from the void soul realm and soul fixation realm. Whether or not the soul formation realm increased one's soul power was no longer important. It was more about comprehending the mysteries of the essence soul and the mysteries of the world to see what level one could reach. Simply put, the more one comprehended, the faster one would advance in the soul formation realm. Some talented and monstrous figures could complete the soul formation realm in half a month and step into the primordial spirit realm. Su Jingxing admitted that he wasn't a genius. However, it would be enough if he could step into the 7th or 5th class of the soul formation realm through the Heart Moon Fox's soul refining space. Of course, it would be best if he was extremely lucky and could advance to the primordial spirit realm within 3 days after entering the soul refining space. Cough cough. He took deep breaths to calm his mind. On Earth Star, Su Jingxing's essence soul took out soul separation cards from its soul space and unlocked them to obtain spirit gathering pills. After unlocking 16,301 soul separation cards, it acquired more than 60,000 spirit gathering pills. Without any hesitation, Su Jingxing's essence soul immediately swallowed the spirit gathering pills to increase its cultivation. The 8th class of the soul fixation realm quickly reached perfection. Then it reached the 9th class. Moments later, it reached the perfected 9th class. Finally, it completed soul fixation and advanced to the soul formation realm. At this point, Su Jingxing did not take any more spirit gathering pills. Instead, he collected the remaining 40,000 pills as backup. It wouldn't be too late to use them after entering the primordial spirit realm. The one who controls the nation. Replace? You mean Guan Zhonghua? The middle-aged man frowned. He's just the prime minister, not the emperor. He'll step down in 2 years and someone else will take over. Killing him is useless. There are many people in the cabinet who can take his position. Besides, Guan Zhonghua. Brother Xiang. The corners of the young man's lips twitched. He interrupted irritably, have you played too much with women, or did all the alcohol you drink flow into your brain? Am I talking about Guan Zhonghua? Ah. Not Guan Zhonghua. The middle-aged man was at a loss. Now that New Chu has integrated into the U-Nation, and the U-Nation is the cabinet. I'm talking about Kong Xian. Don't tell me you don't know who Kong Xian is. Suppressing his impatience, the young man gritted his teeth and said, New Chu has been annexed by the U-Nation. Brother Xiang, don't tell me you don't know who the mastermind is. Well. The middle-aged man smiled awkwardly. Well, it seems that our ancestor surrendered first. In front of the whole world. Enough. The young man finally couldn't hold back and shouted, there's no need to say anything more. I just want to know, are you willing to help the Xiang family get justice and take back what you deserve? Well, the middle-aged man hesitated. We are willing, but what can we do to seek justice? You don't have to worry about that. The young man waved his hand. As long as you're willing, wait for me here at 10 p.m. tomorrow. With that, he soared into the air, stepped on the air, and floated into the distance, disappearing into the night. When the figure was completely out of sight, the middle-aged man's dazed and dispirited attitude suddenly changed. His eyes became clear and his expression became solemn. Do you take me for an idiot? The one who controls the nation, Kong Xian. Of course I know who he is. Replace Kong Xian. Heh, Kill the current martial sage and become the new martial sage of the Unation. Your schemes are extraordinary. Become the new martial sage. The middle-aged man's eyes flashed. The young man's motive was obvious. The person behind him had his eyes on the merged Unation and wanted to become the kingdom-defending martial sage of new Unation. The integrated Unation had a population of nearly 500,000. More than 400,000 people worshipped the martial sage. To the kingdom-defending martial sage, these people were a massive fortune. The middle-aged man's name was Xiang Yilong, the second master of the Xiang family. He might not know everything about the transcendent grade, but he was most likely aware. The kingdom-defending martial sage could absorb the nation's mental power through the kingdom-defending jade seal to condense the sage origin fruits and consume them to become stronger. The more people there were, the more sage origin fruits would be condensed, and the stronger he would be when controlling the kingdom-defending jade seal to fight. Therefore, the current Unation was very coveted by some transcendent grade experts. Especially the current kingdom-defending martial sage, Kong Xian. He had never revealed his true appearance. Each time he appeared, he wore a strange mask and a fearsome battle armor. If they secretly killed Kong Xian and replaced him to become the Unation's martial sage, no one would notice. The people of the country would also not know that their martial sage had been replaced by another person. It could be said that the person behind the young man was extraordinarily ambitious. Suppressing the current martial sage and replacing him. What a bold thought. To be able to kill a martial sage, one must also be a martial sage, a transcendent great existence. Which country is the martial sage behind this kid from? Hong Nation? Unation? Jingxing? Or some major overseas faction? Or even the Western continent? Xiang Yilong racked his brains and pondered over the pros and cons. The Unation was doing very well now. No matter how indignant he was, he knew that the circumstances benefiting the Xiang family had already passed. What benefits or disadvantages would it bring to the Xiang family if someone wanted to harm a martial sage? If Xiang Yilong cooperated and the person behind the young man successfully killed Kong Xian, what would happen? If they failed and Kong Xian counterattacked, what would happen? This matter was too shocking. Regardless of success or failure, it would cause a huge commotion. Even though Xiang Yilong was displeased with the Unation and hated Kong Xian to the core, it did not mean that others could use him as a pawn. Xiang Yilong had been indulging himself for the past half a year. The other party had targeted him and he had deliberately approached him to turn him into a chess piece. He was lucky to have bumped into him. The young man and company needed a member of the Xiang family. Even if Xiang Yilong wasn't chosen, other members of the Xiang family would be. However, Xiang Yilong had performed very well. The young man could never tell that Xiang Yilong was only pretending and putting on an act in front of him. The impact of this matter was too great. It was difficult for Xiang Yilong to tell anyone, including his father. Right now, he had two choices. The first was to cooperate with the young man to do something that might benefit him greatly. However, there was a prerequisite to obtaining this benefit, and that was that Kong Xian would be killed. And a transcendent grade expert behind the young man would successfully replace Kong Xian. However, as one of the participants in such a secretive matter like replacing a martial sage, could Xiang Yilong continue to live? Would the young man and the others give him a chance to live? Keeping his mouth shut was utter nonsense. At the very least, if it were him, and he was secretly killing the martial sage and replacing him, the relevant personnel would definitely be wiped out. Because only the dead could keep the secret. So, if Xiang Yilong really were to cooperate and help the person behind the young man achieve his goal, there was a 90% chance that he would be silenced. And if the young man and company failed, Xiang Yilong would definitely be silenced. Now that the matter was exposed, the person behind the young man had to cut off all connections and leave no clues behind. As a participant, how could Xiang Yilong avoid death? It could be said that if they succeeded, he would die. If they failed, he would also die. At the thought of this, Xiang Yilong went berserk. F***ck. D***ned B** starred, I'm in trouble now. No, I can't wait for death. Xiang Yilong gritted his teeth, his eyes flashing. This extended to not only Xiang Yilong, but also the entire Xiang family. If the martial sage Kong Xian were to die, Xiang Yilong would not be able to escape. The Xiang family might also suffer a reckoning. Even if they did not, they would not gain any benefits. If Kong Xian won, Xiang Yilong would not be able to escape, and the Xiang family would certainly be punished. In other words, no matter how he calculated it, this matter would not benefit the Xiang family or Xiang Yilong. Not only will there be no benefits, I'll even lose my life. Why should I participate in such a thankless matter? Xiang Yilong's smile was especially sinister. He had already thought of a solution. In the wee hours. In the new government office building in Qingtian City. The Deputy Prime Minister, Luo Xiangong, stood in the spacious conference room with a solemn expression. The windows and doors of the entire conference room were tightly shut, and surveillance equipment was uniformly aimed at the outside. Other than Luo Xiangong, there was also Xiang Yilong who wore a complicated expression. At this moment, he was slumped in a chair as if he had no bones, staring blankly at the ceiling. Suddenly, a huge display screen on one wall of the conference room lit up. On the screen, the Prime Minister of the U-Nation, Guan Zhonghua, the Supreme Marshal, Xiao Renwo, the Hall Master of the Sacred Martial Hall, Fu Neng, the Head Supervisor, Ao Chuanqiu, and a few of the most important members of the cabinet appeared one after another in separate images. Old Luo, what's so important that a meeting has to be held at this time? On the screen, Guan Zhonghua was the first to speak as he questioned Luo Xiangong. Who? Luo Xiangong took a deep breath to calm himself down. He said in a deep voice, it's not important, but extremely important. In terms of specifics, this person, Xiang Yilong, will share with everyone. He is one of the parties involved. Luo Xiangong extended his hand and gestured for Guan Zhonghua and the others to look at Xiang Yilong, who was slumped in a chair. Xiang Yilong? A member of the Xiang family? Xiao Renwo raised his eyebrows. He's from the Xiang family. Luo Xiangong nodded. Then, he said to Xiang Yilong in a deep voice, Brother Xiang, please repeat what happened. Xiang Yilong opened his mouth and spoke slowly. He recounted how he was deliberately approached and what happened that night. At the end, he said softly, I only know that his surname is Zhao, and he has always asked me to address him as young Master Zhao. I don't know his real name. Silence. In the conference room, both inside and outside the screen, Guan Zhonghua and company had solemn and grim expressions on their faces. Someone actually wants to kill the martial sage and replace him. Who the F***ck is this person? He's actually so crazy. What kind of faction is behind this? To dare to kill a martial sage and replace him, there had to be at least one person in the transcendent grade among those behind the scenes. Every dynasty had martial artists in the transcendent grade realm, and some even had more than one. However, few could attempt to annex the U-Nation. Although the martial sage of the U-Nation had never shown his face and was also a newcomer, he was very powerful and was not inferior to some veteran martial sages. Therefore, it would not be easy for the martial sages of the other dynasties to kill him. The biggest possibility was still those independent transcendent grade experts. It would indeed be very easy for these people to develop factions if they choose to do so. However, they were also extremely well hidden. Their headquarters would basically be overseas. Ghost Ride, Gourmand, and other ancient organizations had never exposed the location of their headquarters. Therefore, it was difficult to guess who had targeted the martial sage. Do you know any abnormalities with that Zhao fellow? After a moment of silence, Guan Zhonghua said, on second thought, this matter is very important. I know it's important, but that Zhao fellow didn't say anything. Xiang Yilong gritted his teeth. This B***** has been guarding against me. I won't know what he wants me to do until tomorrow night. Tomorrow night is too late. Luo Xiangong shook his head. We have to figure out his plan before then. Of course, before that, we have to inform the martial sage. I believe you support this, Brother Xiang. Luo Xiangong looked at Xiang Yilong. If I don't support this, would I have surrendered to you people? Xiang Yilong said irritably, that Zhao brat has ill intentions, but no one knows what he's plotting. It's not that we don't know at all, said Xiao Renwo. Since that fellow approached Brother Xiang, it means that he needs your identity to do something. What's Brother Xiang's most important identity? New Chu's imperial family. Ao Chuanxiu said indifferently. That's right, the New Chu imperial family. Xiao Renwo said seriously, if that Zhao fellow wants to use the identity of the New Chu imperial family, why does he want this identity? What is he trying to do with this identity? Bulsh *t. Guan Zhonghua said in a deep voice. That Zhao fellow is prepared to pull wool over our eyes and do something that will affect the strength of a martial sage. A rebellion. Fu Ning's eyes lit up. That Zhao fellow is preparing to start a rebellion in the country and destroy the stability of the dynasty. Which army in the New Chu nation was the most restless? Ao Chuanxiu stared at Xiao Renwo. The Canaan army. Xiao Renwo frowned. But the Canaan army has already been disbanded. All the soldiers have returned to their native homes. It will be very difficult to gather them again. It's more than that. The follow-up investigations of these soldiers have never stopped. After they returned home, they received a lot of bonuses. They're all doing very well now. If there's no big temptation, there's no need to join the rebellion, said Luo Xiangong. After all, since ancient times, there has only been one outcome for a rebellion, death. Do they have nothing better to do than gamble their lives on a war with no future? I don't think it's the army either. Fu Ning nodded. The success rate of launching the rebel army to capture a city is too low. If it's not the army, then there's another possibility. Xiao Renwo narrowed his eyes and said, military factories. If that Zhao fellow were to get a few military factories to riot and fire some weapons. That wouldn't be good. Before he could finish, Xiao Renwo thought of something and his expression changed. Guan Zhonghua also thought of something and exclaimed, quick, call the east. Tell them to pay attention to Wolf Head Mountain behind the border. What's wrong? What's wrong? Xiang Yilong, who was enjoying the analysis, asked curiously when he saw this. However, no one answered him. Guan Zhonghua and Luo Xiangong both had solemn expressions and nervous eyes. Xiao Renwo even took out his phone in front of everyone and dialed a number. At the same time, the Golden Sparrow Mountain Basin, the former border area between the Yu Nation and the New Chu Nation. The commander of the prefecture army, also the great general of the border, Dongfang Pochu, was cultivating in the camp under the moonlight. The Golden Sparrow Mountain Basin was the Golden Sparrow Mountain Range 100 years ago. During the war between the two countries, modern shells and shockwaves from top-ranked experts caused the mountain range to become a basin after 100 years. As for Dongfang Pochu, as a man who had once vowed to destroy the New Chu nation, the great general who had been staying at the border since he was 20 years old, he was very confused now. He was in a daze day and night, not knowing what to do. The New Chu nation was gone and had integrated into the Yu nation. His lifelong goal, motivation, and direction were gone. Right now, the only thing normal about him was cultivation. Therefore, most of the time, Dongfang Pochu was in a cultivating state and paid no attention to the outside world. His subordinates would not disturb him either. They would basically stay far away. With the merger of the two countries, the border naturally disappeared. The New Chu army across the Golden Sparrow Mountain Basin had long been disbanded. The Yu Nation's camp was still there, and the army was still stationed there. This was the only way for the Dongfang Pochu to resist, although he did not know what they were fighting for. He cultivated day and night, trying to forget everything in the outside world. However, tonight, Dongfang Pochu had just started cultivating when his subordinates hurriedly found him and sent him a phone. Great General, an urgent call from the Supreme Marshal. Supreme Marshal. Urgent. A war is coming. The eyes of the slightly angry Dongfang Pochu lit up as he took the phone. On the other side, Xiao Renwo quickly explained the incident. After Dongfang Pochu heard this, he replied seriously, "Don't worry, they won't achieve their goal." He hung up and laughed out loud. "Ha, there's finally a battle. Ha ha ha." The new Chu nation had integrated into the Yu nation too quickly. Resistance everywhere did not last long before they were suppressed and appeased. Dongfang Pochu, the great general, had not made a move for half a year. Without a goal and direction, living felt like a waste of time. Now, he finally had a chance to strike. Amidst the laughter, Dongfang Pochu walked out of the cultivation room and gathered half of the top-ranked experts in the army before soaring into the sky. More than 10 figures turned into streaks of light and flew across the sky, heading straight for the other side of the Golden Sparrow Mountain Basin. Behind the former camp of the new Chu nation, there was a mountain peak called Wolf Head Mountain. Under this mountain peak was a military factory base. The new Chu nation had once placed a large number of weapons and many firearms experts inside. After the Yu nation took over, most of the weapons in the base were transported away. The firearms experts were not moved and remained in the underground military factory to study weapons. Without martial arts experts holding down the fort, these ordinary people were just doing research and were not much of a threat. However, they were all once subordinates of New Chu's imperial family. The Wolf Head Mountain Base, also known as the Imperial Research Institute and Military Factory. They were especially loyal to the Xiang family. If Xiang Yilong, the second master of the Xiang family, came to persuade these firearms experts to be loyal to him, 90% of them would listen to him. Once 90% of the people had jumped sides, what could the remaining people do? Other than surrendering, it was death. Of course, after the Yu nation took over, they also sent people to be stationed at the Wolf Head Mountain Base. However, there weren't many of them. There were only 3 experts in the top ranks. 2 in the 3rd grade and 1 in the 2nd grade. As long as one killed these 3 people, he could easily control the Wolf Head Mountain Base. The modern weapons left behind in the base would also be his possession. These weapons were naturally not enough to take down a prefecture. But they were enough to cause trouble everywhere. Xiao Renwo realized the problem and immediately went to Dongfang Pochu. After receiving the order, Dongfang Pochu led his men straight to the Wolf Head Mountain Base. After entering the base, he realized that the person with the surname Zhao had yet to make a move or appear. This made Dongfang Pochu stomp and break the floor in frustration. He called Xiao Renwo. In the conference room. Xiao Renwo hung up the call and informed Guan Zhonghua and the others who were on the screen. Fortunately, the other party hasn't made a move yet. I've already gotten Dongfang to hide in the base and imprison everyone else. That's not enough, Ao Chuanxiu said coldly. Cripple all those who are loyal to the Xiang family. Xiang Yilong, who was far away in Qingtian City, was speechless. Sure. Guan Zhonghua was silent for a moment before he replied, foolish loyalists, cripple them all. It was already benevolent enough that they would only be crippled and not killed. In the face of the stability of the dynasty, any unstable factors had to be eliminated. Seconded. Seconded. Luo Xiangong, Fu Neng, Xiao Renwo, and the others nodded. This order was immediately passed down. Along with it, they also ordered the Heavenly Secret Office to contact the martial sage, Kong Xian. Void World, Yu Nation. Su Jingxing's essence soul was comprehending the world with its mind. Suddenly, it received a faint summoning notification. It perked up and returned to its senses, raising its eyebrows slightly. What big trouble is it this time? As it murmured, Su Jingxing's essence soul left behind the divine weapon, the wandering dragon saber in the void world. The essence soul entered the border membrane and descended in the capital. Under the thunder dragon bone armor, it entered the conference room in its illusory state. Then, under the gazes of Guan Zhonghua and Fu Neng in the conference room, turned material. Greetings, martial sage. Greetings, martial sage. Guan Zhonghua and Fu Neng stood up and bowed to Su Jingxing. On the screen, Xiao Renwo, Luo Xiangong, Ao Chuanxiu, and the others also bowed and greeted him. What is it? Su Jingxing's essence soul asked directly. It's like this. Guan Zhonghua quickly recounted what had happened. Finally, he analyzed, the problem now is that we don't know what other aspects they will cause trouble in. Setting the dynasty in turmoil is nothing but internal and external troubles. The internal rebellion has been eliminated, and the sources of the chaos have been cut off. Out of the remaining basic necessities, food is the most important thing now. Would that Zhao fellow do something to the food? Poison? No, that's unrealistic. Even if he does use poison, he can't poison the entire country. It's indeed impossible for there to be a nationwide food shortage. I think it might be a plague, a man-made plague. No, the transcendent grade expert behind the Zhao fellow also seeks a stable dynasty. Even if it's chaotic, it's only for the short term. It won't be easy to resolve the long-term chaos after the other party takes over. Especially when it comes to diseases, there's a high chance of mutation. Could it be an insect infestation? Throwing a corpse-raising devil insect into the city? For it to lay eggs everywhere? That's impossible too. It's still the same reason. He wants a short-term chaos that will affect the fate of the nation, but one that can be resolved quickly afterward. Too many deaths won't benefit him. In that case, the possibility of internal troubles is low. What's left is external trouble. Barbarians? Will they lure the barbarians to invade? That's most likely the case. Xiao Renwo, Luo Xiangong, Fu Neng, Ao Chuanxiu, Guan Zhonghua, and the others discussed the possible hidden dangers to the end. Guan Zhonghua immediately called the commander of the Luori Prefecture army to keep a close eye on the boundless mountain range. From this moment on, the observation point on Sunset Cliff was on highest alert. They didn't know who the enemy was or where they would start. A passive defense could only do so much. They felt aggrieved, helpless, but had no choice but to deal with it. Throughout the entire process, Su Jingxing's essence soul did not say a word and only listened quietly. Guan Zhonghua and the others were aggrieved, and Su Jingxing's essence soul was equally angry. This was really a disaster falling from the sky when he did absolutely nothing. There was actually a transcendent grade who had his eyes on the U-Nation and wanted to kill him and replace him. Aren't these independent cultivators in the transcendent grade extraordinarily ambitious? Previously, Yu Xiangtian, Shi Ke, Gong Juanlian, and the others had also warned Su Jingxing to be careful and not leave the U-Nation. The newly advanced martial sage guarded a dynasty. Without the help of the old martial sage, it would indeed attract the covetous eyes of independent martial artists in the transcendent grade. In the tens of thousands of years of history of Earth Star, this had happened several times. With the death of the old martial sage, a new martial sage had just taken charge of the dynasty. Before he could consolidate his position and make a name for himself, he was targeted by other transcendent grade martial artists and was immediately replaced. With this current situation, some people had succeeded in history, while others had failed. The gang with the Zhao fellow had certainly thought of imitating and doing the same for a long time. Yu Xiangtian, Shi Ke, and the others had asked Su Jingxing not to leave the U-Nation because he could fight through the kingdom-defending Jade Seal if he stayed in the U-Nation. In the Void Soul Realm, relying on the kingdom-defending Jade Seal to fight and calm the mind was not difficult. However, if the U-Nation were to fall into chaos and the nation's fate was shaken, the the power of the kingdom-defending Jade Seal would be greatly affected. It was unknown if it could still be used. Su Jingxing's essence soul tried to circulate the 6 comets records to deduce possible hidden dangers. The first one was indeed from the boundless mountain range. Those people with the Zhao fellow were really capable of luring the barbarians out of the mountain range and into the U-nation. It had been nearly 100 years since the barbarians left the mountain range, but they dared to do so this time. What method did the mastermind use? Secretly promising benefits, giving a large amount of resources, and colluding with the barbarians? Or deliberately provoking the barbarians to lure them out? Such incomprehensible information was the most frustrating. Su Jingxing's essence soul held back its anger and circulated the 6 comets records again to obtain the second possible hidden danger. From within the country. With internal and external troubles, chaos could still erupt internally. However, he couldn't deduce what it was exactly. After all, this wasn't foreseeing the future. If possible, Su Jingxing's essence soul was more willing for the mastermind to come to it directly. Whether it was a sneak attack or an assassination, it was better than such external interference that it had no clue about. Causing chaos would definitely result in death. The only difference was the number of deaths. If they went straight to Su Jingxing's essence soul, given Su Jingxing's current trump cards and strength, even if a person in the primordial spirit realm was here, it would be able to put up a fight. Unfortunately, the other party just had to cause trouble, thinking that Su Jingxing's biggest trump card was the kingdom-defending Jade Seal. What the f***ck? Everyone, I think it's best not to deploy forces recklessly. Just make ample preparations. During the discussion, Luo Xiangong said, right now, we are in the open and the other party is in the dark. No matter what we do, our information will be exposed. The only advantage is that the other party doesn't know that we already know their operation time. Tomorrow night, no, after 10 p.m. tonight. Well, it could also be the day after tomorrow. Xiang Yilong thought for a moment and said, that Zhao fellow is waiting for me to agree. If I do, he'll probably bring me to my destination. We will have to spend some time traveling, right? Therefore, the other party would probably be making his move before dawn tonight. Xiao Renwo said in a low voice. Alright, we'll have to keep an eye on the area behind Sunset Cliff at night. Guan Zhonghua gritted his teeth. Gather all the cyber experts on standby, Su Jingxing's essence soul suddenly said. Guan Zhonghua, Luo Xiangong, Fu Neng, and the others were stunned. You mean, Ao Chuanxiu probed. The invasion of internet information will also cause chaos. Su Jingxing's essence soul said calmly, the future troubles caused by the invasion of information are no less serious than the rebellion. In short, gather all the cyber experts to stand by. It's best to be prepared. All right. Guan Zhonghua nodded, picked up the phone, and passed down the order. Luo Xiangong, Fu Neng, and the others said nothing, their expressions indifferent. Only Xiao Renwo was deep in thought. The development of the Earth-Stars network was very slow. It had been almost 100 years since it first appeared. However, it had only flourished in the recent 30 years. As for martial arts experts, the older they got, the less interested they were in such new things. Guan Zhonghua, Luo Xiangong, Fu Neng, and the others didn't have a deep understanding of the internet because of their identities and positions. Xiao Renwo actually didn't know much either, but he was a born soldier and warrior. His subconscious spiritual perception was very high. As soon as Su Jingxing's essence soul mentioned the invasion of internet information, it immediately struck him. Cyber war. In a war that happened on the internet, no one would die, but the consequences might be even worse than that. In an instant, Xiao Renwo inexplicably shuddered. He quickly picked up his phone and gathered the cyber experts in the army. While the others were busy, Su Jingxing's essence soul walked to the window and looked at the night sky, waiting quietly. That's right, it suddenly realized that internal strife also included the internet. Earth-Star had already entered the information era. If the U-Nation were to encounter a large number of hackers and computer viruses wreaking havoc, the information tsunami would still kill a large number of people. If the banking system was also hacked and all the depositors were cleared, it would be strange if the U-Nation wasn't in chaos. The more it thought about it, the more certain Su Jingxing's essence soul was. The chaos caused by the mastermind would come through the internet. It was dawn. In the U-Nation after the fusion, people everywhere headed to school or work. Ma Xiaoluo, who was born and raised in the capital, washed up and drove to the company as usual. In the early morning, everyone in the office turned on their computers, browsed the news, and read gossip. As a junior leader, Ma Xiaoluo turned a blind eye to this. She was also like this in the past. She just had to get used to it. She opened the forum she frequented, scanned through the new posts, browsed through a few pages, and closed it. Moments later, she opened the company's back end and prepared to study some data. Suddenly, the web page flashed. What's going on? Ma Xiaoluo put down the cup in her hand and moved her mouse. The web page was still flashing, and as it did, the screen suddenly turned black. Infected with a virus? Puzzled, Ma Xiaoluo was about to call out to the maintenance staff next door. What in the devil? What's going on? All the data has disappeared. I can't open them, all of them. All the websites have been infected with a virus. What? You got it too. I can't open the web page either. The office was suddenly in an uproar. Everyone was exclaiming and shouting. Ma Xiaoluo looked around and retracted her gaze. When her gaze landed on the computer again, she saw an animation of a skeleton praying to an incense stick flashing on the screen. It's really a virus. This was Ma Xiaoluo's first thought. I can rest today. This was Ma Xiaoluo's second thought. The company is finished. This was Ma Xiaoluo's third thought. This was because all the company's data was stored on the back-end server. Now that the data had been destroyed and cleared, the company's efforts of more than 10 years were all in vain. No. 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 At the end of the office, cries of grief, anger, and disbelief came. Ma Xiaoluo's heart skipped a beat. Because it was the chairman's voice. His assets had been wiped out in an instant. Huh. All assets wiped out. The banking system should be fine, right? Ma Xiaoluo's heart raced. The bank is an internal system and independent, it should be fine. Thump thump. 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 Her heart raced, pounding against Ma Xiaoluo's heart and soul. Her face turned pale and her body trembled. In the next moment, Ma Xiaoluo pushed the chair away and ran towards the door. She was going to the bank to withdraw money. Reporting, the other party is attacking fiercely. We are at a disadvantage. Reporting, all private network companies have fallen. Report, the bank is under attack. U-Nation's capital, building of the Information Processing Center. In the spacious hall, the sound of keyboard tapping could be heard non-stop. Dozens of cyber experts were typing crazily on the keyboard, shouting reports from time to time. Invasion. 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 All the websites, internet information centers, and servers in the country, be it large companies or official organizations, had been tampered with and hacked. Su Jingxing's guess was right. The mastermind's targeted chaos for the country was through the invasion of the internet. Reporting, an urgent call from the Luori prefecture. The barbarians have left the mountain.